Hello, and welcome to my first ever 4 Against Darkness video. This one is just going to be a little introduction to my plan. My plan for a new party of adventurers who are going to explore a bunch of dungeons in the 4 Against Darkness universe. So I'm just going to go over the resources that I'm going to be using and a few other bits and pieces that I'm going to be using during this series. I anticipate this series being the longest series of videos that I've done. I'm looking forward to it very much. I've got a bunch of things that I've never used before, and it's going to be really interesting. So don't be surprised if this is the start of a 8 or 10 video series of videos where some people will watch the first one and no one will watch the rest. But I'm going to enjoy making them anyway. And isn't that what really matters at the end of the day? That is the question that I rhetorically ask myself, secretly deep down knowing that the answer is no, that's not what really matters. Okay, right. 4 Against Darkness. I suspect if you found your way to this video, you probably know what this is. After all, YouTube is not light on videos where people are playing 4 Against Darkness. There are loads of them. So a super quick introduction. It is a pencil and paper dungeon exploration game for one person. So it's a solo game in which you manage a party of different characters, such as a warrior or a cleric or a rogue or a wizard, and you take those characters through a dungeon. You roll to determine the different rooms that you go through, and then you roll to determine what's in the room. You roll to determine special events that might happen, treasure that you might encounter, minions, vermin, and boss creatures that you may have to fight. And yeah, it's a great little game. You level your characters up and have a lot of fun. Rinse and repeat. Explore some dungeons, kill some beasties, strengthen your characters, etc, etc. 4 Against Darkness. Now, while you can play 4 Against Darkness using this book, and in fact I will to start with, generating the dungeons using these tables and fighting the monsters that are held within this particular book, you can also, there's so many resources out there, so many additional volumes for this game. I mean, goodness knows how many. It's just absolutely huge. So I've got a little plan about what I'm going to do in these videos. First dungeon I'm going to explore is going to be just using the basic main rulebook. Then after that I'm going to turn to this, which is the Lantern, which is the 4 Against Darkness zine. There's been 2 issues of this, and this is the first issue. And in this first issue we've got a specific adventure called Tumbar. I think it's Tumbar. Not sure. The Curse of the Unliving Ones. And this is an introductory adventure for level 1 characters, though it says here they can be level 2 as well. And there's a gnomish settlement that you have to explore, and different things happen at different locations, and I am looking forward to that. That's going to be my second adventure in this series. So we've got those 2. Then after that, I've got this book called Twisted Dungeons. These are all 4 Against Darkness supplements, by the way. Twisted Dungeons, what you do is you roll a d66, I believe is what you do. So you roll 2d6, and that generates a particular dungeon specialism, or a variant dungeon with a little twist on a normal dungeon. This is not the dungeon I'm going to use, but for example, you'd roll your 2 dice, saying this is the 10s, we'd get 36, we turn to 36, and we get magical library. So there's some kind of variation that turns the dungeon into a magical library. Or if we rolled 63, we would end up with unnatural fog. So a dungeon that is blighted by an unnatural fog, which presumably makes some things particularly tricky. So for the 3rd dungeon, we will try a twisted dungeon using something from there. Then after that, I've got lairs, dens and burrows. This is short adventures for characters of any level. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to pick an adventure from here for the 4th, I guess. The 4th delve that my new adventurers do. So we've got the lair of the grey orcs here. We've got nest of the manticore, and a lot of these come with new tables of loot or manticore monsters, for example. An old man gave me this map, so I'm not sure what that one's about. I guess we got given a map by an old man, and there's some stuff that happens in there. So there's a bunch of adventures in here. I'm going to pick one for my party to go through, and then finally, once they are a bit more powerful, I've got Fiendish Foes, which is challenging opponents for levels 3 to 5. So this has just got some more difficult beasties to fight, and I think I'll probably combine this either with another Twisted Dungeon or with lairs, dens and burrows, one of the adventures from there. So by the time I've done all that, I would have played through 5 or 6 different dungeons, and each one will probably be split into 2 videos, so it's quite ambitious, but I am very, very much looking forward to it. A couple of other things I'll be using. I've got, this is how cool I am, I have laminated some stuff. This is a little reference sheet for when you're generating dungeons and rooms, just to help speed things up a little bit. I've also got all of the dungeons, the dungeon rooms. So we've got the entrance rooms, and we've got all the different corridors and rooms here. So I've got that for easy access there. And finally, I've got 3 sheets that you can get on Board Game Geek. This is for the party. I'll have a party of 4 compadres, and this is the sheet that allows you to track everything you need to track about the people, the heroes. And for each one, I will be filling in one of these adventure sheets, probably. You've got the area on the left to map out your dungeon, and the area on the right to make notes about the different rooms and foes that you encounter. And finally, this sheet I find very handy is for tracking encounters and seeing how those fights go. So that's pretty useful as well. All right, I think that's probably it for this introductory video. I'm looking forward to this series. I hope you will join me on this adventure. If you want to be reminded, feel free to subscribe to my channel. You can turn on alerts so you see new videos as they happen. I'm sure you probably knew that already. And like this video if you want to show some enthusiasm for the adventures ahead. So I am the Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.